Let's talk about an annoying misunderstanding that people have when it comes to building AI systems, which is this most common uh, pitch that you would see on ads and like all these drifting coaches make, which was, I took my brain and I turned that into an AI. So this is my brain, this is my brain. And that's like as if like the most original idea somebody could come up with. But anyway, so I'll break down why that's stupid, as well as why that's not possible, as well as what you should do instead and not forget instead if you're building your own AI app. So hopefully this is useful for us. Well, first thing is artificial intelligence is supposed to be intelligent. If you're building a system that is just retrieving your own data and knowledge, you're not making something intelligent. You're just coding a retrieval process, right? That's like me looking things up in a dictionary. It's a bit more advanced in the sense that it can personalize things, but even that's not exactly real. So, well, first of all, most coaches or most of these guys that build this, I'm turning my brain into an AI, and then people are trying to do something similar because they think that sounds cool. They're not actually turning their brain into an AI. Human brain is like you can't code and tell it every single answer of every single possible question that every single user is going to ask. The LLM is going to make predictions. And how it's going to make predictions? Well, maybe you gave it a foundational data to start off with, like you uploaded your books and your podcast and your frameworks and everything else, and then you're hoping that the AI would use that data to give answers. Now, how is it going to use that data? That's called inferencing. What frameworks is going to use, what decision-making process is going to use, depending on the industry to retrieve which data. Because I can upload like 1,000 books, but if the AI is retrieving the wrong things when it's giving the answers, then it doesn't matter what books I put. And on that note, this is something these people don't know about either, because they're just like giving master prompts and not even uploading their data in the first place. Also, like they just give it a bunch of prompts and give it like you're and speaking coach give answers like this, right? But that's like level one AI ops and systems, and hopefully we want to build something that's more advanced for the sake of humanity's future and your future as well. But like the thing is, so what you want to do is you want to know the decision-making frameworks that the AI is going to use. So that's like making the deterministic sense smarter, right? Not just like give your data to a developer and ask it to build an AI based on it, because the developer doesn't know either how you think. And you don't know either how you think. That's another thing most people forget. So you need to give it frameworks. But the other thing, which is the important part that most people forget. So I was having a team with my developers yesterday. Not a team. I was having a meeting with my developer team yesterday. And I told a guy something and he replied saying, "Isn't that dangerous?" And my answer was yes, because that's what we are supposed to do. Intelligence can't be or shouldn't be deterministic. That's the opposite of intelligence. You want it to have freedom to be able to go in the world, look at all of these different exposure and awareness and simulations and feedback it's getting and build its own frameworks and grow based on that, evolve based on that, right? And to build something like that, you need to engineer it like that. You need to give it the frameworks, the tools, the structure that it enables it to rewrite the knowledge, deletes the data that is not relevant, not just use the things from you, but also have its own freedom to be able to rewrite things in the code based on the exposure and the feedback that it's getting from the users, that it's internally reasoning and coming up with, that it's learning from its interactions. And I think that's what makes intelligence smart. And that's also the thing that removes you from the bottleneck because you can't give it every single answer. But it also allows you to, over time, let the AI develop a personality of its own and come up with answers and things that you didn't even consider. That even if it was initially started from the data that you gave it, but later on it's no longer using your data. It has grown into an adult. It's just like having a kid. They might start with your teachings, but later on they face the world and they come up with their own answers. Now you need to be good at parenting here. So you need to, so the kid actually becomes smarter and doesn't become dumb. That's the analogy I would use. So the frameworks, the protocols, the things that you built it based off, even though it has freedom, you still make it so that it can move in the right direction and not just end up regressing back to in like a start exploring random things like going into the spiral of Twitter feeds and stuff. Still focused on the business side, but ability to reason on its own and come up with new frameworks, right? Because you can't, at least right now, you can't completely make an AI that is completely free. Even if you're using locally downloaded models instead of using public ones, um, they're still going to be constrained to the digital landscape or the tools that you're using. But you can still, to some extent, give it that freedom. And I think that's what people forget. And that's what they don't know how to do. And that's what you should be learning if you are actually trying to build an AI that is intelligent and works alongside you, as opposed to just building just like a random dictionary of your life. Does that make sense? That's also what Project Simulacra was, the reason why I named it Simulacra. Where Simulacra means a copy of a copy that's no longer like the original, because it has a personality of its own, that it might have started from the same point, but it's ending differently. So like I might clone Alex Hormozy with all of Hormozy's transcripts and data and materials and thinking frameworks and business advice. But then I also want the AI to use that to come up with its own new frameworks, styles, thinking, advance it, become even smarter, do the things Hormozy couldn't do. So that's probably the way you might be able to make an even smarter person. And that's exciting, much more exciting than it just being constrained to my brain. I want it to be smarter than me. You should make something smarter than you as well.